Huge report coming in today that Damian Lillard, if he doesn't choose to return to the Milwaukee Bucks, could potentially go to teams like the Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat, with the Orlando Magic being the top choice according to odds makers. They are the number one leading team for his services. So we're going to be talking about whether or not he is a good fit for the Orlando Magic. This is something they could even get done in the real world. And we're going to be taking a look at Game 3 for the Magic as they take on the Boston Celtics, as they welcome in the Boston Celtics to their home court. Obviously, the playoffs are tonight, so that is really important too. So we're going to be breaking that down a little bit towards the end of this video. But as always, this is Magic Digest. I'm your host, Patrick Previty. This is your one-stop shop for Orlando Magic basketball content. We have reached our subscriber goal of 1,000. And I think now we can officially say that we've built a little bit of an Orlando Magic basketball community here on YouTube. So let's get into this report. It came out this morning. The Orlando Magic are the favorites to land Damian Lillard if he is not with the Milwaukee Bucks next season. So they take out that team. So however that happens, obviously it would have to happen through a trade if he's not with them next season. But however it occurs, the Orlando Magic are the favorites if he does not return to the Milwaukee Bucks. Other teams, Miami Heat plus 200, so they're not very far behind the Orlando Magic there. Los Angeles Lakers at plus 450. I don't know if I see that in any sort of real world. Portland Trail Blazers at plus 950. I don't know if that's in his interest. And then the Toronto Raptors at plus 950. Admittedly, those two teams at the end of that list, I kind of have some questions about. I don't understand exactly the angle for those teams. But for the Miami Heat, that's certainly a real possibility. I think there were already a lot of rumblings that he could potentially go there when Jimmy Butler was there. Now I think they're looking for that number one option, that number one player that can step in and be the guy with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo supporting him. So I see that. But for the Orlando Magic, what does this mean for Orlando? Well, we could look at this from two different ways. One, I don't know if Damian Lillard is actively pursuing any sort of trade if the Bucks were to get swept by the Pacers. Obviously, they are now down 0-2 in the series. I don't know what his thoughts are, but what I do know is he's a 34-year-old, potentially unrestricted free agent at the end of next season who just dealt with a blood clot. I know that he is healthy and he played in Game 2, but he's probably thinking at a certain point, I want to make sure that I go to a team that is ready to win now and an organization that is stable and can put us in the best position to win basketball games. I would have said, honestly, I love the match of him and Giannis on the Bucks. I would have said that this team would have got further than the first round for the 2 years that they were together if he does end up leaving at the end of this season. But unfortunately, with the way things have gone, injuries, Chris Middleton trade, and running into the Pacers twice, that might not be the case. So he could end up deciding to leave and say, this isn't what is for me. And I do think with all of those prerequisites that I've set, the Orlando Magic do fit that mold of a team that is ready to win now. I think next season that will be for sure what they are trying to do, get as far in the playoffs as they possibly can, start pushing to elevate themselves into true championship contenders. And Damian Lillard would definitely make them that. But now it gets to a point where how much do the Orlando Magic, or how much do they need to give up to get a guy like Damian Lillard? I would obviously be I would say he would easily be the second best player on this team, but wherever you rank Franz is neither here nor there. He would be one of the top players on this team, certainly the most reliable scoring option. Jaylen Suggs is the answer to the question I just posed. What would this team have to give up? It would probably have to be Jaylen Suggs. Look, Damian Lillard is going to be worth a lot of money. His contract is certainly not cheap. Okay, we're not getting him for pennies on the dollar. We're still going to have to make a trade if we were to get him next season. And 25-26, he's got an estimated cap hit of $54.1 million. If he were to opt into his player option, that's $58.4. And that's for a 26-27 season. Okay, this guy's not going to be cheap. Jalen Suggs isn't cheap. He's getting paid over $30 million per year. That's going to have to be something that this franchise is going to have to make a decision on. We saw his stats. We know his injury history. I think Damian Lillard would be worth it, in all honesty, even as a 34-year-old player who just dealt with blood clots. Like, I still think it would be worth it to include Jalen Suggs in that deal. I think he would have to just make the money work. But it should be noted that you really can't do much else as far as the rotation is concerned when you are strapped like that on the salary cap. Franz has been paid. Paolo Banchero is going to be paid. Damian Lillard would now insert himself as a $50 million player on the roster, you would have to figure it out for the rest of the way. We got some team-friendly contracts, but that's up to the front office to make the most of what they can in the offseason to build this team and to give them some role players. Obviously, we know that this team doesn't have any role players when, going against the Boston Celtics. We don't have enough. We don't have enough playoff guys. We don't have enough guys scoring. Damian Lillard would fix this, but it would certainly hurt the front office or hinder them in trying to get more rotational pieces in the offseason. They wouldn't be able to make another signing like KCP. We don't want to make another signing like KCP. I get that, but in the same vein of getting a role player who might be 2 years, $40 million, wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, so another couple things that I wanted to share too about Damian Lillard is also maybe his affinity for the Orlando Magic. I certainly think he likes Orlando. He said this last year. Their identity has nothing to do with how skilled or talented they are. They play hard, they play physical, and they're well coached. You just got to give them their respect. I think that this would be a really positive sign if the Magic were to really try to go get him. You'd want to sign Damian Lillard to a long-term contract. I think if you were to make a deal like that and you have to give up Jaylen Suggs, you want to invest, I think, long-term in him. Not too long-term, but still I think Damian Lillard at 38 is going to be a damn good player in the NBA, and I wouldn't really hesitate too much and just say, oh, Jaylen Suggs could potentially reach this. I don't want to have a 36, 37-year-old Damian Lillard on my team. I get it. I understand there's pros and cons to both scenarios, but I think if he wants to be here and he respects the team and the blood clots aren't as much of a thing, or they're not a thing, then I see this as a win more than a loss, even having to give up Jalen Suggs. This year he still played amazing, and that three-point percentage is something that we haven't seen on this roster all season long from anybody. And this would just elevate this team to a whole nother level. I think if you were able to get Damian Lillard, Paolo Banchero, and Franz Wagner on the same team, that's at least an Eastern Conference Finals team. Truly. And if they can figure out some of the bench, even with not having as much money, I think they would be able to make it work. Another trade that I saw, Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony, Anthony Black, and some of the potential first-round picks that the Magic have for straight up just Damian Lillard. I don't know if we can pull off this deal without Jalen Suggs, but if there were to be a scenario where that happens, I would take that in a heartbeat. I'd imagine that the Bucks maybe think about it. I don't know what the Bucks fan perspective is. If you were a Bucks fan and you see this, I don't look. I'm throwing out some trades. This one was preseason, so that's an old deal. But just depending on like what you guys might want to do for the future, let me know in the comment section down below if any of these trades make sense. So it seems a little light maybe for Damian Lillard, but at the same time, expiring contract, and he's getting up there in age, into his mid-30s, so there's always that risk for the other team as well. Okay, as I mentioned, I wanted to talk about the Boston Celtics game tonight. I believe Jason Tatum's status is still game time decision. I think he will play in this game. My guess, though, in the last game was that he would play, and he didn't. So take that with a grain of salt. I think he will play. Unfortunately, our best chance to win a game in this series did come in Game 1, and then in Game 2, without Jason Tatum, just seemed to have slipped away, and we weren't able to keep up. But I do think if the Orlando Magic have somebody off the bench that can hit threes, this will be a completely different series. If we can sort of keep up in that department, this team will be good. Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero should be good. Put a ban on Kristaps Porzingis in the same way that we did in Game 1. Hopefully he doesn't draw so many fouls in the first quarter in this game, and I think it'll be another close one. I think we'll be sitting here at halftime hoping that this team doesn't have those third quarter woes, and we're like, hey, this squad has a chance in this game. I think they got a shot. I don't know if I'm predicting them to win, but I'm not trying to be too pessimistic, but I certainly think that they'll have a shot at the very least. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below about this potential of a trade, and tell me what you guys think about Game 2. But as always, I'm Patrick Previty. This has been Magic Digest, talking a little bit about Orlando Magic basketball, and I'll see you guys next time with more Orlando Magic basketball content.